Greetings and salutations everyone, aJunctionCollection here, and back once again today with another video. This time with a video covering my entire Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends home media DVD collection. There are 60 DVD releases in total, and in addition to those I will be covering a few other semi-related releases. Since it has been 80 years since the original Railway series books were published, with many of those stories being adapted in the TV series, it appeared only fitting to make some sort of collection video. While quite a handful of these DVDs are from my childhood, I have only come to own many of them in the past couple of years. I only ever experienced them as a child by renting them from the DVD rental stores or the public library. With the advent and rise of YouTube becoming so popular in the early 2010s, the need to own episodes of Thomas and Friends on home media greatly diminished. In fact, my first experience watching Season 6 with Alec Baldwin's narration was when the Thomas the Tank Engine Wiki had the episode No Sleep for Cranky available in glorious 240p quality around 2011. However, due to the show's current format with all engines go, and the general state of streaming, I find myself in a position wishing to further expand my Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends home media DVD collection, and in fact other home media as well, but this video is specifically about Thomas and Friends itself. In any case, there are many releases to get through, so it's best we begin to list them all. First, starting with the feature-length movies from the franchise, beginning with Thomas and the Magic Railroad, being the only theatrical movie release on this list. Following up is Calling All Engines, The Great Discovery, Hero of the Rails, which I saw in theaters as a young tyke with my dad, but had only received a DVD copy for Christmas of 2014 by my late maternal grandmother. Misty Island Rescue, Day of the Diesels, Blue Mountain Mystery, King of the Railway, Tale of the Brave, The Great Race, Journey Beyond Sodor, the final for this first row. The next row is a mix of Anchor Bay releases corresponding to various Series 1 to Series 4 episodes, in a somewhat chronological order based on the content of the DVDs themselves. James Learns a Lesson and Other Thomas Adventures, the DVD that gives Toby 77C nightmares in their sleep. Thomas Comes to Breakfast and Other Thomas Adventures, Thomas and Friends Get Along and Other Thomas Adventures, Percy Takes the Plunge, Trust Thomas, and A Big Day for Thomas 2-in-1 DVD combo, Best of James and Best of Thomas 2-disc DVD set, which contains a demo for Trouble on the Tracks, which I played a lot as a kid, never owning the Thomas PC games till later on in life. Percy's Ghostly Trick and Other Thomas Stories, Thomas and His Friends Help Out, Thomas and the Special Letter, Best of Gordon, Best of James, which I acquired many years after the fact, for I'd already had the Best of James and Best of Thomas 2-disc DVD set in my possession. Best of Percy is probably my favorite in the Best of DVD lineup. Onto the third row of DVDs. The middle row consists entirely of Anchor Bay releases corresponding to various Series 5 to 7 episodes, based on a mix of chronological episode order and release date of the DVDs themselves. Make Someone Happy and Other Thomas Adventures is the only Anchor Bay release in my collection to have yellow artwork, adding to its relative uniqueness. Cranky Bugs and Other Thomas Stories, Races, Rescues, and Runaways and Other Thomas Adventures, Spills and Chills and Other Thomas Thrills, Salty Secret and Other Thomas Adventures, Percy's Chocolate Crunch and Other Thomas Adventures, James and the Red Balloon and Other Thomas Adventures, with quite the wonky-eyed surprised James on the front cover, Thomas on the Jet Engine and Other Adventures, New Friends for Thomas and Other Adventures, Thomas and the Really Brave Engines and Other Adventures, Percy Saves the Day and Other Adventures, Hooray for Thomas and Other Adventures, which contains the final classic era episode from Thomas and Friends from Series 7. I would have to say overall, these releases in this row are probably my favorite if we're going based solely on character selection, the cover art, naming, and the varied selection of episodes. This second to last row consists entirely of hit-era DVD releases, corresponding to the various Jack in the Pack and Series 8 to 11 episodes based on a mix of chronological episode order alongside their release dates. Thomas's Trusty Friends, in addition to On Site with Thomas and Other Adventures, 2-disc DVD set. What a mouthful to say, but the Jack in the Pack episodes are rather unique. Mud Glorious Mud, Friends Help Out, the later 2009 re-release version that I grew up with. Songs from the Station, Thomas and the Toy Workshop, Thomas's Sodor Celebration, being one of the first DVDs I ever got of Thomas and Friends. The sheer amount of bonus features and additional content on this disc is something I was enthralled with when I was young. One day, I'll have to do a video in which I go further in depth considering some of the bonus features involved on the disc. Steamies vs. Diesels and Other Thomas Adventures, a DVD that Psychic Jason holds rather disdain for. Track Stars, It's Great to Be an Engine, Tales from the Tracks, Milkshake Muddle, Come Ride the Rails, being the final DVD for this row. This is the last and final row, which consists of a mixture of CGI episodes, holiday thematic releases, and special compilations. Quite the varied selection of Thomas and Friends from many different eras of the show. First up, Thomas & Friends Adventure Pack, a 4-DVD set of complete Season 12. The 4 DVD discs included our Railway Friends, High-Speed Adventures, Team Up with Thomas, and last of all, Percy and the Bandstand. I'm not at all a huge fan of Series 12, not by any stretch of the imagination. So to be able to own the entire season via this 4-disc set was ideal for me. It's only one purchase. Besides, Mr. Arkwright more than makes up for the lack of decent episodes. Alas, that's another video for another day. Thomas & Friends Steam Team Collection, a 4-DVD set of a complete Season 13. The 4 DVD discs included our Splish Splash Splosh, The Line of Sodor, Creaky Cranky, and finally included Thomas and the Runaway Kite. Much like Series 12, I too am not a big fan of Series 13. But being the first fully CGI Thomas season, it does maintain a certain novelty aspect about it. Plus, much like Mr. Arkwright, the Mr. Perkins segments are the little nuggets of gold dispersed throughout the soil. Go Go Thomas, Spills and Thrills, Dinos and Discoveries, which I did a commentary video on last year, which I shall link down below in the description. And here are the 4 holiday-themed Thomas Home Media releases that I have. 1 Halloween release and 3 Christmas releases, perhaps reflective of which holiday I value more personally as an individual. Thomas's Halloween Adventures, Thomas's Snowy Surprises and Other Adventures, Thomas & Friends Ultimate Christmas, and Thomas & Friends Holiday Express. Now for the final 3, they are our special compilation releases, those being The Greatest Stories, Engine Friends, and last but certainly not least of all, and perhaps my favorite out of all of them, 10 Years of Thomas & Friends. Truly a classic one. Although there are still a few more items I would wish to go over. The Titfield Thunderbolt is not at all Thomas related, but it is certainly train related. It's also why you so often may see Toad, Henrietta, Oliver, and George all paired up in fan stories, or fan images of recreations from this movie, because all their bases play center stage in this movie. If you haven't heard of it or watched it, I would recommend checking it out. It's pretty easy to gain access to, whether the copy is digital or physical. Mud Glorious Mud? Nothing much to this besides it being a duplicate I have in my collection. Thomas and the Treasure, the reason for including this here in the extras is because I had simply forgotten to include it, which, given the lackluster release that Series 11 had in the USA, is somewhat ironic that I forgot to include the one Series 11 on DVD I had in my collection in the collection video, because the hit era overall is, well, rather forgettable and bland, but I digress. Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, or rather, I used to own a Blu-ray copy of the movie till I surprise gifted that to MTI Thomas for Christmas of 2024. But in any case, let us carry on with the list. Now, I have 4 Thomas & Friends CD-ROM games in my possession. The Great Festival Adventure, Trouble on the Tracks, Railway Adventures, and Thomas Saves the Day. I did upload clips and pics videos of these a few years ago during my return to YouTube as editing experiments, and to simply document all the various clips and pics within the game files, but one day I would like to cover each one in depth. For me, they are the epitome of classic Thomas in the way they're presented. It's as Thomasy as a piece of Thomas merchandise can ever become. But for now, a mere mention of this collection video will have to suffice. So, there we have it. My entire Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Home Media DVD collection as of 2025 for a grand total of 68 DVD and CD releases counted up all together. There are still many more releases I would like to acquire, but considering I had about 1/4 of this amount just scarcely 2 years ago, I am rather pleased with what I've been able to amass. Perhaps in another few years, I shall make an updated collection video. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a good rest of your day, for this has been an aJunction Malfunction production.